The last few days have been nothing but insane. Elon Musk has become openly hostile towards a GOP congressman, while BlackRock has silently profiled every single American. And in this video, you're going to hear all about it. But before we tackle those issues, I want to talk about these rumors of Donald Trump pardoning Diddy.
Yeah, Peter, the president said he hasn't been asked to do that yet, but he said he wouldn't rule it out. He said he'd, quote, look at the facts, noting he and Combs used to have a friendly relationship.
And the thought that he would just consider it is really something that is shameful.
If you read headlines from some of these propaganda outlets, you might think our president was pretty much ready to let Diddy go. But that doesn't make any sense, since the infamous musician hasn't really been buddy-buddy with President Trump.
White men like Trump need to be banished. The number one priority is to get Trump out of office. If Trump gets elected, I really do believe in my heart there'll be a race war.
He's also facing charges that make him the least likely candidate for any such pardons.
The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways. As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines.
So I decided to dig into this story and found out that these media outlets are just making things up. The president never said he was going to pardon the guy. In fact, he gave some pretty reasonable comments on this whole situation.
Back when you hosted The Apprentice, you mentioned once in 2012 that Diddy was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, that relationship busted up. I don't know. I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me.
Mr. President. Now, even though the president might not pardon Diddy, he can still go free. From everything I've seen so far, the DOJ's star witnesses aren't really working out. For instance, MIA, who used to be Diddy's assistant, is one of the key witnesses who claims her boss did horrible things to her. Well, nearly 2 years after leaving Diddy, she texted him, "Just thinking of you today and every day. I had a nightmare. I was trapped in an elevator with R. Kelly. I screamed and you came to rescue me." She has sent many such text messages to Diddy, and on top of all this, she also seems to have some ties to the CIA. For instance, it was revealed that she had worked for Mike Myers previously, and I'm sure you know who that is. Well, during her job as Myers' assistant, she apparently set up a confidential tour for him by corresponding with Secret Service agents and other government officials. This kind of information makes me believe what U.S. Attorney Brett Tolman has said about him.
So there's a record executive named Suge Knight who has done multiple interviews saying that Diddy was a Fed and that he was an FBI agent.
I think there's a pattern here, though. You see Epstein, you see others. There's rumors that float around that they worked, with the government agencies at times, and I would not doubt that.
Basically, Diddy was just another version of Epstein who was being used to get dirt on Hollywood stars. And when he had done his job, he was arrested and put on trial to make us believe justice would be served, which we know doesn't really happen in this country anymore. Now, moving on, I want to talk about this Elon Musk situation because things are heating up there as well. You see, in the last couple of days, Elon has basically started a movement against the big beautiful bill. In an extremely viral tweet, he wrote, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it." In another tweet, he agreed with the idea that no member of Congress should be allowed to run again if we have a deficit higher than 3%.
I can end the deficit. deficit in 5 minutes. You just pass a law that says that anytime there's a deficit of more than 3% of GDP, all sitting members of Congress are ineligible for re-election. Yeah. Now you've got the incentives in the right place.
Of course, the liberal media spun it as Elon against Trump.
Last night, that within 72 hours of exiting his role as Doge-bag-in-chief, Elon Musk has been waging Twitter war against Trump's budget.
But that's not true. This is Elon against the GOP Congress, and let me show you what the GOP leader in the House has said about this situation.
Yeah, let me say this. It's very disappointing. Okay, I've come to consider Elon a good friend. He's obviously a very intelligent person, and he's done a lot of great work. With all due respect, my friend Elon is terribly wrong about the one big beautiful bill.
As you can see, Speaker Johnson doesn't really look too confident here, and for good reason. Elon has the power to topple many GOP seats by simply supporting other conservative candidates. But while he is talking about the wasteful spending in this bill, he's kind of quiet about the AI portion of this bill, which basically stops state governments from regulating AI. Now, I don't know about you, but this is absolutely nuts, especially in today's world where AI is already getting out of hand. This just got way darker, and you're going to want to hear this news. Billionaire hedge fund legend Paul Tudor Jones just went public saying AI isn't some far-off threat. It's an imminent danger in our lifetimes, not in 50 years, but right now. He sat in a room with some of the top tech leaders on Earth, and when they were asked, "What are you doing about AI security?" they all admitted nothing. Why? Because the competition's too fierce. Russia, China, the US, everyone's locked in an AI arms race that no one's willing to slow down. Here's where it turns straight up chilling. Paul says he's buying 100 acres in the Midwest, stocking up on cattle, chickens, provisions, because he's prepping for a collapse-level event. And get this, he even said it might take an accident that kills 50 to 100 million people before the world wakes up to how dangerous AI really is. And the craziest part? No one on that tech panel pushed back. People building this tech aren't planning your escape. They're planning their own. I mean, I clearly remember Musk warning us about AI in many different interviews.
I don't know, except to say that by the time these lawsuits are decided, we'll have digital God. So ask digital God at that point. You know, there's that, I don't know if it's actually a real Chinese saying or not, but may you live in interesting times. Right. Is apparently not a good thing.
Elon Musk just dropped a chilling take on where humanity is headed. He says right now we're sitting front row to the big bang of intelligence, watching artificial intelligence explode in power, evolve, and reshape everything. And here's what hit hard. Elon says we have to ask ourselves, are we living in a Gene Roddenberry future, like Star Trek, where tech brings progress and peace? Or are we heading for a James Cameron future, like Terminator, where tech spirals into war, destruction, and collapse? Even Elon admits there's still a real risk of annihilation. And yet, so far, only a handful of GOP politicians have realized what they've done, and they are now also speaking out against this bill.
That it would take away states' rights to regulate or make laws against AI for 10 years. And I think that's pretty terrifying.
But you want to know who is also staying silent on this massive AI legislation? The Democrats. And the reason is simple. Their donors in Silicon Valley won't allow them to mention this issue. So instead, they just keep telling us how they're holding meetings to stop the president.
Every single week, we have a litigation working group where a large group of us, and I'm talking there's maybe 75 members of the House, sit down every single week with the AGs to talk about legal strategy. This is all going on every single week behind the scenes. It is nonstop talk, nonstop introduction of bills and legislation, nonstop being on social media as much as we can without being throttled and without the crazy analytics, and doing all these things.
Now, I don't know about you, but these meetings sure sound like a shadow government to me. And speaking of that, have you heard about what Palantir is doing? They don't want you seeing this. The New York Times just dropped a bomb. Palantir, the infamous spy tech giant, is building what they're calling, quote, a master database on Americans for the Trump administration. This isn't just data crunching. No, this is merging immigration files, health records, personal details from Homeland Security, HHS, and more to create the largest surveillance grid the U.S. has ever seen. Palantir's past, tied to intelligence ops, predictive policing, racial profiling, and weaponized data against communities. Now they've been handed $113 million in government contracts, supercharged by Trump's March 2025 executive order to wire this machine together. Keep in mind, this company was founded by Peter Thiel, who is famous for backing the whole blood transfusion movement for rich people. But that's not even the worst thing about Palantir. You need to understand who will truly benefit if they really end up making a database for every American. This should be bigger news. Here's the follow-up they really don't want you connecting. You already know Palantir is building a master database on Americans for the government, pulling in data from Homeland Security, health, immigration. But here's the darker layer no one's talking about. The top shareholders behind Palantir: BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, the usual suspects. Let me hit you with the numbers. BlackRock alone controls $10 trillion in assets, more than the GDP of almost every country on Earth. This isn't just one tech company feeding the government data. This is the world's largest financial powers sitting quietly at the top, owning major stakes across tech, defense, energy, media, and now your personal data too. Palantir collects the info. The government taps the info. And BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street profit from the entire machine. So here's the real question nobody's asking. When the people who control your money also control your data, how long before they control you? Of course, there's a chance they already have such a database because Palantir is also famous for making the NSA capable of spying on the world. So I won't be shocked if they already have a database and are making a soft announcement by leaking information about this database. Either way, I don't need to tell you why this is a horrible idea, but I still want to know what you think about it. Do you think they're gonna let Diddy go? And what are your thoughts on this Musk situation? Share your thoughts with everyone in the comments down below. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.